and my prayers go to the family. And our church, Bethel Baptist, I go to, they're helping out too. I would like to say to the parents, I'm praying for y'all. I know that this is hurting you, breaking your heart, and that everybody in the neighborhood is thinking about you and praying for you.
Okay, I got up around five-ish, and my daughter was outside playing. My girl was out there watching her. She was in and out of the house, I say that. And I was going to get up and wash the clothes. Yeah, what else can I say? I left the house around, late 6, maybe like early 7. It was probably around like 6, and I got back to the house maybe around 7:15 because my girl and my daughter said they wanted some candy, like she wanted some suckers and she wanted some cookies. And I had went to like three stores maybe in between those times to go get gas, Black & Miles, and I had went and got some drinks, like some little Mad Dogs and stuff like that. And when I left and I went back to dry the clothes because I was watching them. I was sitting there for a little minute, then I ended up going to another store. Like these 3 stores that I'm saying, like I sold these 3 stores already, but I went to a store last. Gotcha. And I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the Circle K. And then when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police and stuff going through. And I was wondering, I was like, a lot of stuff goes on in Aiken to where like you would be like, okay, that's the police or whatever. But I didn't know that it was my house. But my girlfriend at the time, she didn't have service. She didn't have service on her phone, so she couldn't call me to let me know anything that was going on. So she just ended up calling 911. So when I came back to the house, before I got on my road, I seen a police truck with a drone out, and then that's when I started speeding up because I was like, it's something going down like close to my house. When I got turned on my road, I seen a whole bunch of police like right at my house. So that's when I hurried up and I got to the house and I was like, what's going on? I thought my girlfriend was in labor because she was supposed to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Soon. So she ended up having a child that same night on July 1st. But she came up crying to me saying my Javeayah missing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I kind of freaked out, and the detectives were telling me I couldn't go look and stuff like that because they didn't want me to mess up the area or whatever. But that's basically what happened up until all of this came about.
Okay. Is she known to run away? Like, has there been past issues with that with her? Is she known to do that?
No, she does not run away, but I will say that she is friendly. Like, she's friendly, like she doesn't like, it's not a stranger danger thing where it's not like get away from me. Like, she didn't get that. She didn't understand that. She was just all friendly to everybody. She was very respectful. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Like, that's what she do. We raised her great. Like, she was a real smart kid. That's why, like, they had me kind of, like, messed up. Because they were saying that she was not, like, she's non-verbal and that. Like, yeah, she was, they said she's autistic and, like, that was like, the media was fucking like messing. I don't want to cuss, but that was messing my head up a little bit because they don't even have a good description of my child to try to describe her.
What's a good, is she autistic or is she on the spectrum at all? Is that true?
She was on the spectrum when she was born, but they said that she couldn't be tested until she was 4 years old.
Okay, so it's on, you guys just don't know.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. We never got her tested, and she's never given us signs that she is, autistic. She talks good. She's like very, like she talks better than me. She got more respect than me.
Understood. So you guys have no idea what could have happened to her?
I have no clue. Sir, I don't like. It's really wild, but I had gave all of these detectives this information about people snooping around the house lately. Like since I started work, like from Friday, Thursday really, but from Friday to Monday, I had to work. I was working night shifts, and every time I left, my girl would like when she would tell me like, oh, it's been people doing this, and then the third around the house they've been called, like they be on the phone with people like around the house, like just talking and walking real slow and things like that. And like I've been telling them that, but
how are you doing through all of this?
It's okay. I didn't got a little bit of it out and it's like not knowing is killing me. It's killing me, like, because, like, I mean, you see stuff like this often, but you don't expect it to be you.
And is the mother, is she your wife?
No, she's not my wife. She was my girlfriend.
Okay. How is she doing?
She's still a little tore up, but she's making it. She's trying to stay calm because we just, like I said, we just recently had a child. She had to really go in labor early because all the stress that was going down. She had that baby the same night that all of this happened.
A routine night in a quiet stretch of Aiken County, South Carolina. The kind of night that ends with porch lights and the sound of crickets. Nothing about it was supposed to matter. Then a mother picked up a phone and dialed 3 numbers that would pull an entire region out of its sleep. Her daughter was gone. 4 years old. Last seen playing outside in the yard, she said. Just minutes earlier. A small girl with pink beads in her hair and little Crocs on her feet vanished into the dark of an ordinary summer evening. Within hours, it was no longer one family's emergency. It became everyone's. Helicopters, drones, dogs, hundreds of officers moving through the heat, calling a little girl's name across thousands of acres of open land. A community that barely knew fear was suddenly living inside of it, and for 4 days, the whole world watched and hoped and prayed for the same simple ending. Bring her home, just bring her home. But that is not how this story ends. Because 4 days later, a sheriff with 36 years behind him stepped up to a microphone and said the words no one was ready to hear. The little girl everyone was searching for had not been missing for 4 days. She had been gone for a month. Sit with that for a moment. Not a month. Long before the 911 call. Long before the tears on camera. Long before a single helicopter ever lifted off the ground. And the 2 people who reported her missing, the 2 people who described her clothes and begged the public for help, are the same 2 people now sitting behind bars, charged in her death. Hi viewers, before we go further, tell us one thing in the comments. As a parent, could you ever forgive something like this? Yes or no? This is the story of Javeayah Harris. If you are new here, welcome. This channel covers real cases of tragedy inside families and relationships, told carefully and told with the facts. Subscribe so the next case finds you. Viewer discretion is advised. Stay with this one, because the deeper it goes, the harder it becomes to believe. At first, it sounded simple. A child wandering off, a panicked family, a neighborhood coming together the way neighborhoods do. But investigations do not run on feelings, they run on details, on timelines, on the small, stubborn facts that either hold together or fall apart. And the very first detail investigators checked, the story of where that little girl had been, already didn't add up.
Key part of the search. But with new details released today, manager Vernon Fields is left with a lot of questions.
Thought the story was checking out too good because everywhere that he went, he was there, including here. You know, we got timestamps and everything, credit card receipts, what he bought, what he did when he came in here. So a story was lining up or whatever, because he comes in like, they live maybe 3 minutes down the road from here, if that. He came in just regular. He come in, buy something to drink, maybe buy a Black & Mild, something like that, and, you know, get some gas and go on about his way. You know, he did the same thing the day that they say the little girl was missing.
But something about the story just wasn't adding up for him.
I wasn't surprised when they said they felt like it had happened over a month ago or close to a month ago. I wasn't surprised because it was what I was thinking. I was like, his story's adding up, but it was perfect. It was more like playing.
And today, he is not only left with shock.
I mean, stuff happens here, but not with little kids.
But also gratitude.
You know, I'm just grateful, you know, because, you know, my daughters are my life.
Before she was a name on a billboard, she was just a little girl. Javeayah Harris was 4 years old. Bright, chatty, the kind of child who filled a room without trying. She loved Minnie Mouse. She loved to chase the chickens around the family's yard, laughing as they scattered. Pink beads in her braids, a small pair of Crocs, 4 years old and already the center of everyone's world. Her parents were young. Her father, Javeayah Harris, 23. Her mother, Mitchell Herring, 22, on paper, an ordinary couple in an ordinary town, raising a daughter in a quiet corner of Aiken County near Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road, the kind of block where a neighbor waves without a second thought. The kind of place where nothing like this happens, until it did. On the night of June 30th, a Tuesday, the child's mother told deputies she had last seen her daughter around 8 in the evening, playing near the family's chicken coop outside the home. A short while later, shortly after 8:45, the call went out. Javeayah was gone, not lost inside the house. Gone from the yard, right outside, where a small girl should have been safe. Her father, the parents said, had been away at a laundromat and returned later that night. He came back to a street that no longer belonged to him. Patrol trucks, flashing lights, a drone lifting into the dark over his own home. Imagine turning onto your road and seeing that. Within hours, this stopped being a local call. The Aiken County Sheriff's Office reached out for help, and help came fast. The FBI, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, agency after agency, converging on one small neighborhood for one small girl. And as the machinery of a full-scale search roared to life, the questions were already beginning to multiply, because something about the story didn't sit right. What began as a search for a missing child was about to become one of the largest operations that Quiet County had ever seen. They did not hold anything back. Search and rescue teams fanned out with K-9 units, drones overhead, and helicopters cutting across the sky. Thousands of acres of land, some of it covered on foot, some of it from the air. Neighbors were asked to check sheds, crawl spaces, ditches, anywhere a small child could end up. No corner left untouched. A local church, Bethel Baptist, opened its doors and became the command post for the entire operation. Investigators gathered there before dawn. One morning, before the search even resumed, officers stood outside in the early light and prayed together, then walked back out into the heat. Digital billboards along the highway lit up with her face. Roadblocks went up near the search zone. Deputies stopped cars, one after another, asking questions, running interviews, chasing down every lead they had. Some nights they did not clear out until long after dark. The numbers kept climbing. Local agencies, state teams, federal agents, the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, their child abduction rapid deployment team, over 5,000 acres searched, an entire region holding its breath, and still nothing. No clothing, no footprint, no trace of a 4-year-old girl who was supposedly playing in her own yard just days before. Think about what that means for a moment, that kind of manpower, that kind of technology. All of it pointed at one small neighborhood, and it turned up nothing at all, which forced investigators toward a question they could not shake. How does a child vanish so completely, so cleanly from an area under this much watch? A missing child leaves something behind, a direction, a witness, a single thread to pull. Javeayah left none, and somewhere in that silence, a second, quieter team had already started asking a very different kind of question. Not where she went, but whether the story of that night had ever been true at all, because the next time the sheriff stepped in front of those cameras, he would not be talking about a search anymore. He would be talking about a month, and the two people who called for help would never look the same again. While the helicopters flew and the dogs worked the tree lines, a quieter kind of search was underway, one that never left a desk. Investigators were doing what investigators do, talking to neighbors, comparing notes, laying the family's account down next to what everyone else remembered, and looking for the places where the two did not meet. And the places were there. The parents had described a short window. A few minutes, a little girl in the yard one moment, gone the next, but the people who lived nearby told a very different story. Some said they had not seen Javeayah around the home in a long time. Not days, not a single evening. Longer. One resident put it plainly. They had lived in that neighborhood for years. They knew the families. They knew the children. And a little girl walking that street, they said, was something they would have noticed. They never did. Let that settle. The child at the center of a 5,000-acre search may not have been seen in that yard for weeks. Small details began to shift too. The account of those final moments did not always land the same way twice. And in an investigation, that matters, because the truth tends to stay still. It is the stories built on top of it that move, so the focus quietly turned, away from the ditches and the tree lines, toward the account itself, toward timelines and statements and the ordinary digital trail that follows all of us now, the kind of record that can either back up a story or quietly take it apart. And somewhere in that work, a decision was made, one that no one announced from a podium, one the public would only understand later. The search was still running, the prayers were still going up, but behind the scenes, the mission had already begun to change, because investigators were no longer only looking for a child, they were looking for the truth about what happened to her. For 4 days, everything on the surface still looked like a rescue, a race against the clock, a community refusing to give up. It was not that, not anymore. Them, and on the 4th day they said so. Sheriff Marty Sawyer stepped up to a podium. 36 years in law enforcement stood behind him, and he told the room this was the hardest announcement he had ever had to make. Then he made it. Their investigation, he said, and the evidence they had gathered, led them to believe that 4-year-old Javeayah Harris was no longer alive. The room went still, but he was not finished. And what came next is the part that changes everything. He asked everyone to listen closely to what he was about to say, because it mattered more than anything else. The night of that 911 call, June 30th, the night the mother reported her daughter gone. On that night, he said it was already too late. Their investigation supported that the little girl had been gone for at least a month. A month. Before the call, before the search, before the tears and the billboards and the thousands of acres and the prayers outside that church at dawn, all of it, every helicopter, every volunteer in the heat, for a child who the evidence suggested had been gone the entire time. And there was one more thing. The place investigators were now focused on, the area where they believed they might finally bring her home, was no longer even in Aiken County. It was somewhere else entirely, somewhere they would not name. The physical evidence and the story the public had been told could no longer both be true. Only one of them was. That same day, the sheriff made the announcement no one in that community wanted to hear. Both parents had been arrested. Her father, 23-year-old Javeayah Harris, charged with homicide by child abuse. Her mother, 22-year-old Mitchell Herring, charged with homicide by child abuse and with filing a false police report, the very report that had set the whole search in motion. The call that pulled in the helicopters, the dogs, the federal agents, and an entire region that gave everything it had. Investigators said more charges could still be coming, and here is where we have to slow down, because this case has not gone to trial. No evidence has been tested in a courtroom. No jury has spoken. Right now, both parents stand accused, not convicted, and that difference matters. It is the line this channel will keep drawing every step of the way as this case moves forward, but sit with the shape of it for a moment. A 4-year-old girl who should have had her whole life in front of her. A search that pulled in agencies from across an entire region, all of them chasing a story, and a community left holding an impossible thought that the two people meant to protect her may be the reason she is gone. As of now, Javeayah has still not been brought home. The search for her continues in a place authorities have chosen not to name. And until she is found, and until this case reaches a courtroom, it stays open. So does the wound it left behind. The sheriff asked the public to give her extended family room to grieve. We can only imagine, he said, what they are going through. So we will leave her the way she deserves to be remembered, not as a headline, as a little girl who loved Minnie Mouse and chased chickens through a summer yard, laughing. Rest easy, Javeayah. But this story is far from finished, because a search is still underway, charges may still grow, and a courtroom is waiting where the account given that night will finally be tested against everything investigators believe they have found. When it is, the answers may be harder to hear than the questions ever were. Subscribe and stay with us. The moment this case develops, we will be here to walk you through every piece of it. And in the comments, tell us one thing. Do you believe the full truth has come out yet? Yes or no? We will see you in the next one.